I never thought I would be one to get eyelid surgery, an eye lift, until it was suggested to me that it would be covered by my insurance. Then all of a sudden, I became very curious about that option and spent some time looking at what the surgery was all about, the eyelid lift. So, what's the big word for it? Blepharoplasty or something. There's the eyelid lift, there's the eyebrow lift, there's, so much, such a can of worms. Um, and I was actually pretty excited about it because I thought I justified it in thinking that it's not so much that I feel like my eyes make me look older as it is that I'm frustrated that they are different sizes and my one eyebrow is higher than the other and one droops more than the other. And I'm super self-conscious about it. And as I'm doing makeup videos, I'm even more self-conscious about it. And so I started the process of talking to the appropriate people and just found out a couple of hours ago that even though many of you viewers and I have said that I have ptosis, that I actually do not. I was kind of disappointed, to be perfectly honest. I do not have ptosis. Let's see, how is it all explained? I have a tendency to lift one of my brows higher than the other because it's my dominant eye. It's actually this eye. Okay, I got so much to tell you. I'll have to do it and show you in pictures because I actually put some drops in to change that. Okay, just hold on. This is going to be so fun. My problem is I usually have one eyebrow up higher than the other. And then you can see more of one lid generally than the other. I don't like it. And I thought that because um, what I'm thinking of as my lid isn't really my lid. It's the hood. And because the hood is hanging down so far on both sides, I thought that meant I have ptosis. But ptosis is really when your actual lid is hanging down so that it's like covering up part of your iris. And so before we talk about improving that appearance, let's just look at some pictures so that you can see what we're talking about. So first of all, this is actual ptosis. This is not so much hooded eyes, but it's the lid is drooping down. There's something not functioning correctly with the muscles that hold that lid up. I do not have that. A lot of people are born with it. Some people acquire it. There are a lot of ways you can get it, but that's what I thought I had. Here's me. Hold on, because I don't have any makeup on. So this is me. I tend to hold this one eyebrow up much higher than the other, and that eye lid shows much more than the other. And so I thought that I had ptosis. But if you just look at my actual, the whites of my eyes and my irises, they're pretty much about, the same, that is not the issue. The issue is something else. So then let's talk about hooded eyes, because we say, hooded eye tutorial all the time. This is hooded with age, where the skin up above your lid, the skin below your brow, starts to pull down from gravity, and it covers your eyelid. And because the crease is sort of like pushed up underneath that flap of skin, if you put makeup in the crease, you don't see it. You would have to put makeup higher than your crease. People can be born with hooded eyes. This is what a hooded eye looks like when you're a young person. And so you can either be born with hooded eyes, you can acquire hooded eyes. This right here is because I must have like my camera mirrored or something, because it's my left eye that I do that with. And this would imply it's my right eye, which is getting me confused. But my left eye is dominant. And so I have a tendency to lift that brow. Now, if I lift both of my brows, my eyes are identical. So that should have been a clue. But here's what I actually took. I heard that there were these drops that you could take that I don't really understand the medical goings on, but basically it opens up your eye wider so that if you have a droopy eye, that it will open that eye up, bigger, so that either it will match the other eye, or some people have both eyes are droopy. And so usually I think people use it if they have really tired looking eyes. But anyway, since I was, at this doctor's office, she's like, well, I'll give you some to try. And so I put it in my left eye. This is left, whether it looks like that or not, it is. I put some in my left eye. And I think it's sort of like Botox in the sense that it like relaxes the muscles up here and opens this. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I put it in this eye. And I did feel like this brow relaxed more than it typically is. So I was like, oh, that's good. But at the time, let me look. Yeah, I could still see more of this lid than this lid. So I thought, just out of curiosity, let me put the drops in that eye too. And so I feel like since I did that, they are ever so slightly more symmetrical. My husband's laughing at me. I took probably 25 pictures, okay? Before, during, after, and he's like, they all look the same to me. But I think it did help a little bit. Whether it's enough to want to buy that prescription or not, I don't know. But bottom line, the person that I was talking to, she said what you need, and it's not covered by medical insurance because you don't have ptosis, but what you're thinking you need would be an eye lift where we like get rid of these flaps, and an eyebrow lift so that both of your eyebrows are like equally high or something. And while for a nanosecond, I was like, well, I wonder how much that costs. Then she said, for an eyebrow lift, we pretty much make an incision here all the way to here by your hairline. And then we pull it up. And I was like, peace out. There is no way that I'm doing that right now. If you've had it done, I'm not judging you. I'm just saying that I am a coward. And just visualizing that, I almost passed out. So what we're going to talk about, and I've had people ask me recently, hey, could you please do a tutorial on hooded eyes? Which is funny to me because I feel like every tutorial that I do is about hooded eyes. But I am going to indeed talk to you about how you can use color, how you can use eyeshadow and the different intensities to even out your eyes, to hide the hood, to do all kinds of things. And the concept is that the darker colors push back. So like if we want to kind of push, that fleshy part back, and the light colors bring something forward. So if we want to draw, we want our eyes, our lids to seem, fuller, then we're going to want something light on our lids. And if we want the hoods to see like they're pushed back, we're going to want to have a darker color, up in that floppy, skin area up in here. Okay. And so just in general, when you're looking at your eyes and you're thinking, oh, but she didn't talk about my eyes because my eyes are deep set or my eyes are wide set. The same concepts apply. So like if your eyes are wide set and you don't want to draw attention to that, you're not going to put really light colors in, close to your nose, because that just kind of like draws attention to the fact that they're wide set. So if you have deep set eyes, that's like your lids are like in a cave, they're kind of pushed back, and your brow bone comes out over it. So if you did like dark all over your lid, it's going to look like that's pushed back even more, like there's nothing there. So the concepts can be applied no matter what your eyes look like. All right. So that's what we're going to be getting into today. So get excited, run and get your brushes, your eye makeup. We're going to go to town. Here we go. Oh, by the way, I'm Michelle. If we haven't met yet, I'm a little squirrely today. Yes, my emotions went all over the place. I was excited, kind of scared. Then I was really disappointed. Then I was curious, like, well, what can I do? So I'm just, I'm recovering. I'm still recovering. But if you've not yet subscribed to Michelle Fox Beauty, please take a moment and do so we can stay in touch and continue to talk about super fun stuff just like this. Now run and get your brushes. All right. So I have on a bit of foundation. I have like some cream cheek color on and lipsticks. We're not going to do all that. We're just going to look at eyes today. And oftentimes I will do my brows first because your brows kind of give you a map so that you know like where to end your eyeshadow. And the tail end of my brow is like invisible pretty much. So if I don't fill that in, I'm not quite sure, where to end my accent colors and such. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. All right, I got to get up close. I'm sorry, I apologize. I for the most part, I try to do things so that you can see, but there's no getting around it. I have to get really close. And today I am using kind of a funny option here. Hold on, let me do this, and then I'll explain it. I think this might be called taupe. This is an e.l.f. brow pencil. I mistakenly bought this one thinking it was similar or the same as one that I had purchased in the past, but the one that I had before was waterproof, and it does make a difference. The waterproof are easier to work with, I think, but we're just going to give this a whirl, see what happens. So it's just sort of like a creamy eyebrow pencil. And then you've got the spoolie right on the, right here on the stick so that you can brush it out, smooth it out. So this is not too dramatic. Like I said, taupe is pretty light for me. And I had heard somewhere along the way that you should try to get the end of your eyebrows to like lift up. And so I'm always trying to do that, but I've been looking at people that have younger and more youthful eyes, and their eyebrows literally go down at the end. So I get the concept of how if they're up, it's going to lift and everything, but not everybody's brows look natural like that. So, and I struggle to get mine to do that. So I've been worrying a little bit less about that lately. Might have to add more, but we're just going to start with that. Okay. Anytime you do eyeshadow, use a primer. I've been using Milani primer lately. It's super affordable. Oh my gosh, I just did like 10 times more than I need because I'm at the end. Like, when you're at the end and you're like really squeezing like crazy and then you get like way, way, way too much. That is unfortunate. But I'm going to show you a little trick. I'm going to put this on. Anyway, it's very effective and it's very affordable. Even that's too much and I have all this left. If you have a cream eyeshadow brush, that is a great way to spread your eye primer and not get it where you don't want it. Because sometimes when I'm putting on my eye primer, I end up kind of getting it underneath my eyes as well. And the problem with that is that it can end up making that area look really dry. So that's definitely not something we want to do. So now that I know that I don't have ptosis and that the reason I lift one brow is really just kind of a learned trait or like a habit that I've acquired because it's my dominant eye, I'm going to really give some thought to how I want to apply this stuff. Because normally I'm thinking, that I have to make adjustments for my uneven eyes. But in reality, they're not really uneven. They, I think they have different levels of hoodedness, like this almost has like a double hood. Or is it this one? I don't know. They are both hooded, but ever so slightly differently. But anyway, it's not ptosis, which is it's still, I'm like, for, I don't know, 7 years I've been hearing, it started with a viewer said to me, well, what your problem is you have ptosis. So then I just kind of attached to that thought. And my doctor said, so maybe in the future, talk to a professional. I'm like, all right, smarty pants. Okay, so what do we want to emphasize? Now, my brows, I really need a color. I apologize. That's so nasty. Like I said, my brows are getting lower. Like that is a fact, okay? They used to look much, much better. So I don't have as much available to highlight up here, but I want to highlight it. I want to kind of emphasize the shape of my brow. And I just like that light, bright color up here. But if you bring that light, bright color all the way down, if you fill all this area, you're going to emphasize how heavy this hood is. I'm going to do something I haven't done in a super long time. I'm going to cover the whole area with my highlight. That's how I used to do it. And then we like layered color on top of it. I don't know why that changed. So makeup people, if you do know why that changed, let me know. But do you remember doing this? Like you just put your highlight all over everything. It was like your base. It was kind of like neutralizing your canvas. And then you layer it on top of it. I haven't done this in years. I feel like I don't know what I'm going to do. I have no idea how I'm going to do this. All right. So we just put the light all over everything. I'm going to want the light to remain, underneath my brow because I like to kind of emphasize the shape of my brow, but I don't want to leave it here because I don't want to emphasize this. All right. And same thing, I want to emphasize my lids. So really what I need to start pushing back would be the center area, which makes sense, doesn't it? So we are going to I think we're going to work with like pinks and purples today. All right. I am going to start pushing back that center, the area in the middle, just with this mid-tone. And I'm just doing a very traditional wiper motion, pretty much in the crease to start with. Okay. So you can see that I've got some color in there, but when I open my eye, you really can't see it. So that's why we continue to work it up a little higher. So this right here that I want to kind of push back, if I were an eye surgeon, I'd be chopping that off. I'm going to put some eyeshadow on that. But still, we're working with pretty light colors. Now this one I've always done in the same way as that, but then I've also brought some of the color down onto my lid to kind of cover up how much of my lid showed, because I didn't like that this lid showed more than the other one. But I don't know, I'm rethinking that. Let's take a look. Let's see what happens here. So I'm just doing in the center. We'll go up a little higher. So this eye, normally I bring that down more, but I don't think I need to, I don't want to keep doing that. I'm going to pretend like they're the same. So we're talking about hooded eyes, but I'm going to pretend like my eyes look the same as each other. And then I'm going to take a bigger, fluffier brush and just buff that out, just smoothing it out and kind of helping it to merge with that really light color. Do that on both sides. Okay. So what next? I want to have some darker color here. And I don't really like how the end of my eye is a little bit lower than my pupil. Some people's eyes are either straight across or they're even up a little bit. Mine goes down. So I've been putting some dark shadow at the, maybe the last quarter of my eyelid and then up into my crease. So to help kind of camouflage that, it's all about Smoke and mirrors. All right. So let's see. I know that I'm going to bring it up into my crease. So I'm going to start high. I'll come in this way along the crease. Then I come down toward my lashes. I'm going to dip in some more. And I'm going to specifically cover this little outer area right here. I'm going to blend this in a little bit. And same thing with like in here, this, drops down too. And so what I've been doing is putting like either some darker color or some mid-tone in there to same thing to kind of camouflage the fact that they're pointing down. I think I'm going to wait. I'll put some of the pink in there. Right now I'm using a really dark wine color. And so how do I decide where I'm going here? I pretty much am looking at the end of my brow, and I'm looking as if like if I did have the perfect crease, where would it end? Considering the location of my brow, I think it would end somewhere over there. So I start there, and then I'm bringing it straight down toward my lashes. You hear people talk about the outer V. It's making sort of a V. But I want to cover up this outer part of my lid. And then I always look to see if I have, more on one side than the other. So it looks like I have more over here. So I want to add a little more color. And I'm going to go back with my mid-tone brush, that crease brush, and buff that out a little bit. In particular, I want to soften this edge so it's not quite so harsh. Blending, softening. And I'm going to take some of that mid-tone shade, kind of come in here. So if your eyes don't point down, if they're straight across or go up, you don't need to do that step right there. Okay. I've been putting shimmer in the middle of my mobile lid because it looks really pretty on camera. But that is a bit of a pickle because if I don't want to draw attention to the fact that my lids, don't match, I'm going to do it. I said I'm going to pretend like my eyes are normal, so we will proceed. I'm using my cream color brush, the same one that I applied my eye primer with, to apply a light shimmery shadow. What do I want to use? I think I'll pick up this one here. I'm just going to lay it right in this middle area. The benefit of using a brush is I can keep it right on my lid. Sometimes when I'm using my finger, I end up getting it a little bit above and a little bit below. This is just helping me stay where I want to be. I'll have the exact shades listed in the description of the video if you're interested in the colors that I'm using. So the cream colored brush I'm just using just to lay it down. I will buff that out as well. You know what? As long as I'm at it, put a little bit of that shimmer in the tear duct. Which one was it? This one. And then, let's see, I want to kind of buff that out, blend that out. What brush do I want? I guess I'll use this one. Just the edges of that shimmer. It's a tricky thing. You know, you want there to be, you want your eyeshadow to be in a specific area, but when it looks like really harsh and the edges look really sharp, sometimes that can just look funky. So that's where blending comes in. But you have to be careful that you don't, you know, just go in and take off what you just laid down. So it's a delicate balance. All right, let me look here a minute. If at this point, which I'm not, I don't know, I feel like it just looks kind of blah. I don't have my lashes or my liner on, so that's part of it. But I want to like push this back even more. So let's go with something a little darker, or not necessarily darker, but I think just use that same wine, but maybe put it on a little heavier. So I just started in this outer corner like I did before. I'm just kind of layering a little more to help push back this. But I'm keeping that really light, you know, color under my brow, so I'm not muddying that up. And I'm doing this with my eye open. As I've established, our eyes look quite different when they're open versus shut. And depending on how, you know, how dark and dramatic you want this to look, basically what a cut crease is, when you really load up that dark color and you just, you know, are really making that crease obvious. Oh, let's do it. So I'm basically going along that same path that I had prior, but I'm using a much darker color. And this is more of a cut crease look. As the word implies, a cut crease, when done well, is very specific. Like it is, so you don't typically blend it out. All right, I'm going to get real close to my mirror so that I can see where I need to blend. So you just hold that thought a minute. All right, liner is everything. Let's get some liner on. I'm going to use shadow this time to line. I think since we're doing so much drama with the cut crease, I'm going to put some liner up underneath my lashes. That's called tight lining. And let's do some mascara. All right, and guess what? If at this point you take a really close look and you think, okay, I don't like how this looks, it's not blended quite right, or this isn't even with this, or whatever, you can change it. All right, you can adjust it. It's just makeup. So, you know, blend where you want to soften, or if something looks patchy. If you feel like there's an area that you got too dark, you know, you could always layer a little mid-tone or even your highlight over it to soften it out. It's all, you know, I've literally just spent like an entire Saturday afternoon just putting it on, taking it off, putting it on, taking it off, just trying to get a feel for, you know, what I liked best and what worked for me. But generally speaking, okay, so let's see. So when I'm conscious of this, I can lift both of my eyes and you can see my lids on both sides. Doesn't that look lovely? So I just have to go around. But more often than not, I lift one higher than the other. But I think since I took those eye drops, I think I don't even know if I can lift just one. Hold on. Okay, I did. Yeah, that's what I normally do. I lift this one higher. I can still do it. It's actually something I need to teach myself not to do. But anyway, if you are interested in learning how to camouflage a hood, which is the flappy skin, it's basically this, that you want to have some darker color in the part that you want to push back, and you want to have light color where you want to bring it forward. So in a nutshell, this is it. And the same concepts can be applied no matter what your eye shape is. I'm all discombobulated. I get my hair done in 2 days, thank goodness. It must have been like an extra long stretch or something because I am in a bad way. Anyway, I would love to hear your thoughts. Whatever tips and tricks you have for eyeshadow, we would all love to hear it. If you want to comment on what your eye shape is or what your eye concerns are, go for it. I know I'm not the only one. But mostly I wanted this to answer the question of a viewer that asked me to specifically do a tutorial for hooded eyes. And so I thought that my experience today with my eye doctor kind of segued right into a tutorial for this. So hopefully you learned a little something. All right. Somehow I got to remember to keep that one down. I saw that you can actually do like exercises where you like, don't use this eye, but you like, kind of like working out this eye right here. So maybe I just need to do that. I don't know. I know, trivial, right? Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Please take a moment to subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. If you think somebody else would gain from this video, send it on to them, and just take a moment to like it if you did get anything out of it. Thanks so much. I always have freebies for you in the description of the video as well as in my written blog. My blog is michellefoxonline.com. I hope that you check that out. There's all kinds of great information there for those of us over 50 who are struggling with the changes and challenges of menopause and beyond as it affects our appearance. That's my story. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.